Hey Trekkies, it's summer, and you know what that means. It's time for Creation Entertainment's Trek to Las Vegas 2025. This year, the convention has been expanded to a 5-day schedule, August 6th through the 10th at the Rio Las Vegas Hotel. Meet all your favorite Star Trek pros in one place, and hey, maybe you swing by Vic's Lounge and you see our panel. It's a great way to meet people in person and have some fun with your fellow Trekkies. If you can't make it to Star Trek Las Vegas, of course, there's also other events around the country this year. Trek to Orlando, August 23rd through 24th. There's the Trek to New Jersey, September 6th and 7th. And finally, the Trek to Chicago, November 22nd and 23rd. We're looking forward to meeting as many of you as we can this year. So make sure that you get ready to trek to Las Vegas.
This is Onitra Johnson, and you're listening to Open Pike Night. Once again, the magic of podcasting prevails.
Is this thing on? Hello, hello. Welcome to Open Pike Night. I'm your host, John T. Bolts, here tonight with some amazing guests on stage and in the studio to have a conversation with the woman who made the whole Strange New Worlds fan base sit up and take notice. This show will not be gentle with your emotions. We have once again armed ourselves, dressed in our Ren Fair finest, and have brought the OPN Stage to the final in our Elysian Kingdom Writers Interview trilogy. And our valued guests on the Open Pike Night Stage have come to show their amazing support. Joining me today are my co-hosts, the man who will never stop sitting upon his throne of parenthood like a vengeful Queen Nev, asking all who come before him why Star Trek made him cry, host of Sudden But Inevitable, Jesse.
Your words could polish the finest of apples, producer John, but thankfully, I'm all out of apples and I'm ready to podcast.
And the man who stalks the wilds of the podcast world like the Huntress, always seeking out new episodes to enjoy, host of Green Shirt, a newbie's trek through TNG, Cameron.
I don't get compared to Rebecca Romaine often, so thank you. I'm just here hoping this podcast does not explode in my face, turning me into a mutant red herring.
And tonight we have an amazing special guest joining Open Pike Night for the first time. A woman who turned the flagship of Starfleet into a place where roasted turkey legs were definitely for sale, who took a lonely and loving father on a journey to save his daughter that involved far more arrows than he had tried previously, a woman who turned our favorite Vulcan into a wavy-haired wizard of smirks, writer's assistant for Season 1, staff writer for Season 2, shall we guess showrunner by Season 4?
I mean...
Onitra Johnson, welcome to Open Pike Night.
Hi. That was great. I mean, you never know. No, I'm kidding. No. Henry's like, hey, wait, what?
We really appreciate you joining us here tonight. And welcome to your first podcast ever. It's an honor to be your first opportunity to talk to the podcast listening audience, and we have questions from ourselves and from our listeners tonight. Cameron will be starting us off first.
Sure, I did ask Akela Cooper this question, but she let us know you wrote the line, "Someday when you're grown up, you'll write your own stories, and you can have any ending you like." Was that autobiographical in nature? When you were a child, did you want to write your own endings to your favorite stories? How did you get into writing?
That line, I wrote that line to my younger self, to my current self, and I also wrote it to my daughter. So it was threefold. Growing up, I always wanted to be a writer and also a comic book artist or a 2D artist for Disney, one of the two or one of the three. So I remember the first time I wanted to write, it was I finished the last Narnia book, and I hated how it ended.
You and me both.
Yeah, yeah. Very good taste.
I was just like, wait, what? And so I began like trying to rewrite the ending, and I had no idea what I was doing. I was still in grade school. I might have been in my I might have been 10 at the time. So I had no idea what I was doing, but I just hated that ending. So between that and my love for American Tail, Little Mermaid, like everything Disney, I knew that I wanted to live in those worlds and write and create in those worlds. Unfortunately, I did not grow up in an environment where that was something I was told I could do. And so both verbally and non-verbally. And so as I got older, I pretty much followed the path that was in front of me, which is joining the military. But I have since rewritten my own story, and I'm here in front of all of you. And my daughter has been able to see me. She's been with me throughout this entire journey and has been able to watch me do that. And one of the things that inspired me was being able to show her that she can do anything despite what anyone says.
I thought that was just a clever way to get into that question, but yeah, that's great that it was so personal to you.
Yeah.
So how did you get from the military to writing for Strange New Worlds?
That was a long journey.
A long journey.
It was a long journey, but for some reason the Fellowship of the Rings just popped in my head. Like,
please go on.
It could be the Gollum cutout behind Cameron, but it could be something else.
I could have been Gandalf holding on, telling my other son to run, you fool, and just keep going. I'm sure. I had moments like that where I'm like falling and battling, but
your own personal Balrog.
My own personal,
yep.
yes.
This is going to be a great interview, guys. I can already tell.
Let's hand it over to Cameron. Yep.
Yeah, I will end up referencing Adventure Time, Lord of the Rings. It's going to be a thing.
So. That makes me so happy.
That's awesome. So how I got from military to writing for Strange New Worlds. I was in the military for close to 7 years. Air Force, I was a personnelist, which is essentially human resource. So I'm particularly good at dealing with people at every level.
Always handy.
Yes, always handy. And problem solving. So I ended up getting out of the military because it was not the path I wanted, as I said earlier. When everyone else was going on smoke breaks, I was going on book breaks. I'm like, I got my big old bone comic book. It's huge. I'm carrying it around. Everyone's like, what is happening?
And those are Den's books too.
Yeah. I've got the full, like the huge.
Oh yeah. Nice.
Yeah. I love that book. So once I got out, I tried to get my bearings a little bit and had my daughter. And at that time, that very crazy time, I have what I call a paradigm shift where I was just like, you know what? I'm going to go back to school, but I'm going to do what I want to do. I am going to get into entertainment somehow. I think I've aged out of working for Marvel and Disney. So let me figure out what this is. So I moved to LA with my daughter. My mom was gracious enough to, and has been, to come with us on this journey. And while I was there, I knew nobody. I had no clue that TV writing was really something I could do. I had no access. So I did two things. I became a background actor.
Nice.
So it was great because there was free food. And I also got to sit back, and I was like on Grey's Anatomy. So I got to, and on Brooklyn Nine-Nine. So I got to, I had access to everybody in the background. So that would be the first AD. I didn't know who any of these people were, but I saw them working. So I went and asked them questions. How'd you get your job? What are you doing? What's going on? I was even on How I Met Your Mother and I remember asking a ton of questions there. Meanwhile, while I was doing this, trying to get in my bearing and doing a lot of research, I was going to Los Angeles Community College. And I began working in the vet program, and through Los Angeles Community College, two things happened at once. I got accepted to film school through the Posse program. And I remember when they approached me, they were like, you can go to Wesleyan. And I said, this is a scam. Never heard of this school. I don't know what you're talking about. I was not at all. I'd never heard of the school, which was hilarious. So I looked it up, and I particularly looked at their film school because I'd known at that moment that I needed to go someplace small.
Okay.
USC just felt too big, too overwhelming. And I had at that point realized what I needed was guidance, mentors, and people who were willing to take the time to talk, especially being a Black single mother, essentially. But just being a Black woman, period, in an industry that I didn't see a lot of me.
Mm-hmm.
I applied to Wesleyan, and I also got an internship at Paradigm. I went from the mailroom. I worked in the mailroom, and then I went from the mailroom to sitting on someone's desk. So I was an assistant for a little bit at Paradigm, which was really great because that job is where I first learned how to pitch. So
and what's Paradigm?
Paradigm is one of the talent agencies.
Okay.
Like CAA, and but they're one of the like medium boutique.
Okay.
Not boutique. Not boutique. They're basically one of their agents packaged and put together Blackish. So they okay. So it's an agency.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So while working there, I got access to a ton of scripts. I went and had a coffee meeting with one of the agents, and we were talking. She said, "Okay, pitch." And luckily, I'd looked that up. And so I kind of pitched. I told her like the story I had, and she gave me great feedback. And then some wonderful
Was
advice.
this just like what? I mean, you don't have to be specific, but what was it? A book or a movie or something you've been noodling for a long time?
It was a book that I've been noodling for a long time.
Okay.
Yeah. It was a urban fantasy. So at the time, I was reading a lot of Jim Butcher.
Okay.
Dresden Files, and I grew up on Buffy and all. So it was very much an urban Neil Gaiman. So it was the real world meets magic in our heyday. Yeah. So I worked at Paradigm for a summer. It was really great. Good experience for me to, again, have access, ask a lot of questions. They said at the end of the internship that I could get a full-time job and I didn't have to leave, and that they would help. Because I was very upfront with everyone. I want to be a writer at that time. I knew at that time writing was going to be my main goal. During the time that I got the internship at Paradigm, I was applying to Wesleyan, and there's some questions that they ask you, like, what do you want to do, essentially? And at that moment, I was still kind of, do I want to direct? I know I don't want to act because I have no desire to be in front of a camera, in front of people. It seems fun, a lot of hard work, but I already knew I could not, could not sustain it at all. And so I remember sitting back and writing this essay to get into Wesleyan. And I felt that was one of those moments that makes or breaks you. It really changes the trajectory of your life. And so I really started thinking about what it was that I loved to do as a child. And as I said before, writing. I remember the Narnia, the moments I read The Hobbit and watched The Hobbit, the animated old school ones. And then would draw every dragon. Yes. And draw every dragon I could. I remember that feeling when I watched The Little Mermaid and would pause and try to draw Ariel. But also would try to continue these stories in my head. And so that was the other portion. Because then you think, okay, I want to be a writer. Do I want to write for film? Do I want to write for TV? And I realized I love long stories. I've read Game of Thrones. Jim Butcher's Dresden's Files still going. ElfQuest, like long form stories. Preacher, like everything that just goes. So I said, okay, TV's for me. I can stay with these characters for a while. So when I wrote that essay, that sent me on my path to be a TV writer. So when I got to Paradigm, I was very much started I'm going to be a TV writer. I'm going to be a TV writer. I didn't stay because what I realized was I needed a college degree. I don't know. I was just like, this is something no one can take from me. This is something that I will accomplish. That'll be mine. it'll be hard. I had to start from scratch and do 4 years as an untraditional student in a very traditional environment. And I also had to move from LA to Connecticut with my family.
Are they very different? Is that a weird thing?
Same kind of town, all over those states.
City's a city, right?
I know. It's just like, oh no, I lived in South Dakota for like 2.5 years, and I lived in Italy for 4. So I knew what it was to live in the snow. Yeah. And I was just like, should I? So me and my mom, we packed up the car and we drove from California to Connecticut.
Wow.
Jeez.
That's a story right there.
Yeah.
That's family too, right there.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the heart of the episode I wrote. I mean, family is everything to me. Good, the bad. I mean, there isn't anything I wouldn't do for my mom, my sister, and my daughter. You know, I just so writing those lines were. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I have to ask because we have had. Okay, I'm the emotional person on this show. I have trouble keeping my emotions hidden, which I'm fine with. But this episode, we're like, oh, what a fun episode! We love this, and then at the end, we're just devastated. And I have to ask, as a parent, did you cry when you were writing this? Like, was it because it feels like to produce even the narrative of this would just devastate me.
I did not cry as I was writing this. Akela took the heavy weight of the ending. So I set it up, she knocked it down, and then Henry did the magic. Henry and I pieced it all together. He was gracious enough to let me go in and walk through this whole entire process from beginning to end.
Cool.
Awesome.
Actually, yeah, I didn't cry. For me, this was so much joy.
Yeah.
Like when I was writing, it was literally during the pandemic. I was home by myself with my daughter. So I was homeschooling while being the writer's assistant, while now all of a sudden writing a script. And so I was in the middle of teaching my daughter how to ride a bike, trying not to allow her to fail at math, playing Animal Crossing, and figuring out how to make every character sound cool.
Did Animal Crossing and that was there any relation there? So I know with my kids, I have to come up with whole stories for all these animals on the island.
Between Animal Crossing and Zelda, they inspired me the entire time. Like my old Twitter account, I had since took it down because I needed a break and I reopened. But my daughter, I remember us writing a scene and my daughter's like, "Mom, look at my outfit. It's cool."
And then you were like, and then he put her in the transporter and got 2 hours to work on his screenplay. Just 2 hours.
That very beginning where he's like, it's time to go back again. She's like, oh, if that's not my life, oh my goodness.
To just put your kids in the buffer and get 8 full hours of sleep.
And then he goes straight into trying to find a career for, like, he just goes straight to work. And that's
life of a parent.
Life of someone who's working and, just that balance. Mbenga just handles it so well. You know, that scene where Una walks in and she's just like, what?
You got a job, man.
You've got a job, yeah. But then she takes a moment and sees him as a friend and as a father, someone who's dealing with stuff. You know, I had those moments too.
Speaking of that, let's cue up Michelle's question. Actually, I think that ties in nicely with what we're talking about.
Yeah, definitely.
Hey, Open Pike Night. Thanks so much for letting fans ask Onitra Johnson a question this week as we welcome her onto the Open Pike Night Stage. I loved the Elysian Kingdom and was moved to find out that the nebula was actually named after Onitra's daughter. So that was a cool fun fact. And my question kind of relates to that, and also is kind of my Crusher connection of the week, which I tend to make when I call in. As Beverly Crusher did bring her son on board the Enterprise, I was wondering, for Onitra, how do you think it would be for you as a parent in the 23rd or 24th century in the Star Trek universe? Do you think you would want to bring your child with you? And also, how did being a parent inform your take on the Elysian Kingdom? Because while it had its funny moments and its humor and its fantastical nature, it also had some heartbreaking and very emotional elements, particularly Mbenga being able to let go of his child so that not only that she could live, but that she could thrive and have maybe an even more enriching life. And some writing choices that were made so that we as fans knew that happened. So thank you for that episode, and I look forward to hearing your thoughts on this and your writing experience in general. Live long and prosper.
Live long and prosper. I'll answer the first question about bringing your child with you to the Enterprise during this time. Oh, I would love it. I would love to. I honestly bring my daughter with me wherever I go, and the pandemic.
Connecticut, Los Angeles, yeah.
Yeah, she's been to work with me. She's been on Zooms. So I would bring her on the Enterprise with me. I would show her that there's a wider world out there filled with excitement and danger. I mean, life can be hard. I shield my daughter, but I also don't hide her from the realities of the world. Age appropriate, of course, but as she gets older, we have deeper conversations. And I think just like we saw with Beverly Crusher and her son, there were moments, if I remember correctly, where she had to let him grow. Yeah. And to make his own decisions. And being one of the youngest officers on the bridge, she didn't spend a lot of time trying to undermine him, but at the same time, she was protective. I don't remember every episode, but that's the sense I got from her and Wesley, and even from Picard, who I feel like in many ways, even though he doesn't like kids, was a father figure. How did being a parent shape your writing? As I said earlier, it fully shaped my writing. I think being a daughter fully shaped Akela's writing. I mean, her connection to her parents, you feel that in the story. The heart of it really came from Robin. She just had this wonderful idea of it being Rukia and her story. But I do remember we were having this funny conversation, which happens in the room when the room is wonderful. And we just needed a break. And Akela started talking about the Giving Tree and how she read this other story about the Giving Tree. And I was taking notes, and I remember stopping and going, my daughter hates the end of the book. She's like, what is this? And I remember everyone just laughing. And then from there, I don't remember it point, but I do remember that. And I remember Robin, just her beautiful pitch of letting it be Rukia, and then we just all vibed and brought this story. So I honestly feel that in the writer's room itself, outside of the writing, what really built this story was, Bill, who has a wonderful connection with his son. Akela has a wonderful connection with her parents. Robin, who's just so thoughtful with character and emotions, and why are we doing what we're doing? Like, we were in the room, it was just the four of us, and they were amazing enough that when I wanted to pitch, the floor was open. So we built something beautiful, and I think all of our backgrounds really helped.
So yeah, then just before jumping back on your hero's journey to the Strange New Worlds writer's room, I was going to ask, if you liked fantasy growing up. It sounds like you did, and so maybe you've already mentioned, what is your favorite fantasy film? Let's say book and film.
Okay, so my brain goes to Lord of the Rings always, but I feel like Willow played a huge part in my childhood.
All right, this has been Open Pike Night. I will see you all later because Cam and Onitra are now just about to talk about Willow and Lord of the Rings for the rest of the evening. I have been Jesse. This has been John.
I've been John, yeah.
No, go on. I didn't mean, yep.
And there was the one with Tom Cruise where...
Legend?
Legend, yeah. I mean, we grew up watching pretty much everything. I mean, my childhood was Arnold Schwarzenegger, both him as Conan and him as Terminator. My childhood was Sandlot, but it was also like Ricky Tikki Tavi, which is a very old cartoon. It was heavy metal, and then at some point it was Dragon Ball Z and Sailor Moon. So and then there was a lot of Akela is the horror expert, and it's so beautiful. And I am a huge terrified person who was forced to watch a lot of horror. So there's a lot of I would read. I'm fine with reading horror, so there's a lot of Stephen King in my life. But there was a lot of Gremlins.
My favorite Christmas movie.
I love it. Yes, it's so great. There's a lot of Nightmare on Elm Street that terrified me and stuck with me. So to go back to your question, I can't think of I'm going to stay with Lord of the Rings as my favorite trilogy. I remember when that was coming out, me and my friend were just like, if they ruin this, I don't know what we're going to do right now.
And they did not.
And they did not. They did not. We literally, I remember I was stationed overseas and the third book was coming out. The third trilogy was coming out. And at that time, due to protest, they stopped playing English language movies in Italy. So we ended up driving to Slovenia.
Wow.
In the middle of a blizzard. Try not to die and fall off a mountain.
That's another great story all in itself right there.
You had your own journey just to watch the culmination of a journey. Wow.
I love it.
It was great. It was just truly a moment. And yeah.
That's great.
I have such great memories from those movies.
Wow. All right.
My favorite fantasy book. I know Neverwhere is considered urban fantasy. Good Omens is something I used to go back to and read all the time. Yeah. Currently, my favorite sci-fi fantasy book is the Stone Earth trilogy. No, not Stone Earth. Excuse me, the Broken Earth. The Broken Earth trilogy by N.K. Jemisin. Okay. Yeah, I love her.
Well, based on everything else you've said, it sounds like that one would be worth checking out for me.
Oh yeah, please do. Yeah,
all right.
It's a great series.
Well, to keep myself from deviating the entire podcast into the Willow cast, I will allow you to continue your story. How did we get from Connecticut to a writer's assistant on Strange New Worlds?
I graduated in 2019, which was really great. And then I had to make the journey back to LA because if you want to be a TV writer, it makes sense to go back to LA. No, we flew this time because I said I didn't want to drive.
Once is enough.
Once is enough. So we ended up back in LA. I had already been the year before, and that spring, starting to lay the groundwork for getting a job, doing interviews, reaching out. One thing I'd learned early on, before I even got to film school, was that you need mentors. You need a connection, you need people to talk to. So I really use my alumni and my professors. And so I took a lot of meetings and I landed a job at Netflix for their original content show, originally titled Jigsaw, now entitled Kaleidoscope. And the showrunner, Eric, he interviewed me and gave me the PA, the writer's PA job. So that was right after graduation. I became the writer's PA, and he was fabulous because he never hid anything from me. So pitch documents, I was allowed to be in the room to pitch, but also see like how it works with the producers and everyone else. Like it was just a really great experience. And I was the PA, so should I explain what PAs do? Production assistant?
As far as, a writer's PA, give us a little
As far as in the writer's room, I'm not sure. Yeah.
So a writer's PA is essentially office administrator. So Eric and I, the showrunner, we went and we picked out the furniture because we weren't on a lot. We were in a business building. So I set up the internet. I set up the furniture. I got the lunches. I was the go-between between Netflix and our office for anything that we needed. And that's pretty much it. Like you pretty much the assistant who helps keep the office running. Mm-hmm. So yeah. Usually you don't sit in the room and you certainly don't pitch, but I did both those things. So.
Nice. Then
after that, I realized, not knowing this going in, that after 6 months, the show ends and I had to find another job. And I was like, wait, what?
What? Showbiz,
exactly. So I started looking for another job, reaching out to my network. I heard back from Secret Hideout from Alex Kurtzman, and they were looking for a spot for me. Maybe it'll happen, maybe it wouldn't, which is how these things work. And so I do remember that Alex's office asked to read me. So I sent them everything that I had. It was probably pretty terrible. But I was always writing and trying to work on something. And I actually had gotten feedback from writers in the room from my Netflix show. Quite a few of those writers became friends and people I still talk to. So they gave me feedback, and basically I continue to learn that I'm not a terrible writer.
It's good to know.
Good to know. Yeah. Confidence it helps. And not always easy, especially when you're a writer. I mean, in any creative endeavor, there are those moments where you're just like, this is trash. It's terrible. I don't know what's happening right now. You know, yeah. Let me just go play Skyrim. I'm better at that. I can do that all day. But so I heard back from Secret Hideout, and they asked me to go in and interview with Akela. And so I had no idea. Honestly, I very rarely know exactly what I'm interviewing for. So I wasn't entirely sure which position I knew it was an assistant position, but I wasn't sure if it was the PA, And we had a really lovely conversation about The Witcher and nice. And Trek, and how I don't consider myself a Trekkie, but I do love Trek. I love Star Wars too. I mean, I love all these ones, and there's a common theme between all of this that can be very uplifting. I know it was for me as a child, which is why I read so much and watched so much, because in the American tradition, the hero always wins, and so it was a good place for me to go as a child. But anyway, so I interviewed with Akela. Got the writer's assistant position. It was my first time being a writer's assistant. And then the pandemic hit. And I was like, do I have a job? What's happening? Does anyone have a job? Thankfully, the room started up, and I had the double task of not only learning how to be a writer's assistant, but I also had to learn how to do it during the pandemic. So that was both challenging and fun.
But then that kind of set like everyone at zero. So like everyone was learning kind of.
Yep. Everyone was learning. Everyone was understandably frustrated, but also excited, a little bit apprehensive. You're like, because you're stuck at home in a box and you're staring at people. And it's not how writers' rooms tend to work. So, but everyone was super gracious, lots of advice. We made it work. What I did, I remember one of our first or second conversations with the room, I was just like, I decided that the pandemic was a good time for me to finally learn how to play Dungeons and Dragons.
I think a lot of people have that happen. Yeah.
And so I asked the room, I was like, does anyone play Dungeons and Dragons with me?
Who can you out?
Yeah,
who plays?
Who plays?
Oh, yes. Henry plays, Bill played, Davey Perez was our DM. Our dungeon master, he plays, and he also plays Magic. Sarah played, Akela played, which was great. Our showrunner's assistant, current writer's assistant, Skylar played. And I don't think Akela said he was going to play, but he didn't He didn't play at the time, but
oh,
he
he's
was
one of
very
those D&D
excited.
players. Okay.
I was just excited. He's like, "Oh, to play." I was like, "What?" And we had a really fun first game because you could see like our personalities were, totally. Henry was like, "We told the goblin we'd let him go," and Akela was like, "Did we?"
Now, was this happening before writing began? During
writing? Oh yeah. That was.
Did any D&D storylines make it into Strange New Worlds?
D&D names. So my episode, like Zymera, that was my character.
Oh, that's so cool.
That's awesome.
I was like, "Oh, this is perfect." And she's like, "Tristan."
That's awesome.
I mean, you're pretty much watching 108 is like D&D mixed with Lord of the Rings mixed with. So it's great. So yeah, that we didn't get a chance to play long because once the ball starts rolling, everyone gets busy. Yeah. So I was wise enough to ask at the beginning.
Mm-hmm. Excellent.
So at least got a little bit of gameplay in there. So that was cool.
That's so cool. All right. Well, before we all learn what a writer's assistant does, let's listen to another sound clip from Mark.
Hey, Open Pike people. This is Mark Dykman sending you another message. And this question is for your interview with Onitra Johnson, who is currently a writer's assistant on Strange New Worlds. Pretty simple, pretty banal 21st century question. I'm wondering, Onitra, if when you write, you do everything 100% digital with a keyboard, or if you ever use pen and paper for your writing process. I know probably by the 23rd century they stopped doing that, but maybe in the 21st, writers still use that. Curious to hear what you think. Love the show. Thanks.
That's a great question, Mark. I don't go anywhere without paper and pen, and I take notes always. And so, one, because I like to look back on what I'm writing, and two, I have a somewhat forgetful memory. So yes, when I'm writing, I use both pen and paper and digital. They're intermingled for me. So even right now with a project I'm working on, I have not actually gone on the computer yet. I'm writing everything in a notebook to kind of get characters down and process my thoughts and put everything just down. And then I'm going to go write things on the computer. And I'm starting to lean more heavily on the pen because I kind of find the computer to be a bit distracting. I'm not sure if it's the white space or the internet.
Let's go down a rabbit hole.
Yes.
Gaggle
So many
research.
Yes.
D&D alignment.
So many. I know. I'm just like, oh, wait, I'm on this tropes website. And now I'm reading every trope.
And my email is full of requests from podcasters. Like, please just come on our show.
Yes, exactly. It's like, oh, wait, I needed that thing from Amazon. Oh, no. It's something.
I feel yeah. When you do go digital, what program do you use? Are you Final Cut or Final Draft or?
I'm Final Draft. Ah. Yeah,
I'm doing it right so far. Okay, I've got that step down. All right.
The marketing says it's what I need, so yeah.
I'm not sure if it's what you need, but it's what they're using.
It sure helps.
I've used it since film school. It's like an old friend.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
I think I've got like 5 or 6 Final Draft version discs buried somewhere in a box. So
Yeah, I was able to buy my first draft before I went to film school because they had a military discount.
Nice. Yeah.
That was great.
So you mentioned what a production assistant does. So what was it like being a writer's assistant in the writer's room? What was your job for Trek?
So my job as a writer's assistant was to set up the board that we were going to use because it was all online. We used a program. I can't remember the name of the program that we used, but I basically set up squares where we could put sticky notes to track each act. Thankfully, the writers would write the bullet points so that I could take the notes, and I transcribe everything that's said in the room. And at the end of the night, I clean that all up and send it to the writers so that if any of the writers weren't in the room, or if they had that story and they need to go back to kind of figure out where the pitch came from, what was, they had those notes. I remember on 108 when I didn't know I was going to be writing 108. And so went back to the notes, and I had an Onitra moment where it's just like, oh man, whoever took these notes did a good job. I
was going to say, if you learned anything being on the other side, like, oh, this is what people want from us.
Yes. It was really helpful. I'm like, high five you.
And then Onitra, your camera's on. We can see you high fiving yourself.
Oh yeah, I know.
That's funny.
Yeah, I was going to ask. So it sounds like the whole kind of writing team breaks the whole season stories and even episode plots. So when you and Akela like sit down to your final draft software, like what do you have in front of you? Is it an outline? Is it just like a shotgun blast of ideas everyone came out with? What are you working from at that point?
Once we're given our episode, and I did cry when I got told I was going to be writing.
Oh, we were going to ask that question. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Tell us more about that. Was a cry moment.
Yeah. Tell us more about that, and what it's like.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll answer the first question. I'll go back to that because those were two moments where I cried that season. So in the room, we break story together, which means all the writers collaborate and pitch each sequence within an act. For our episode 108, we didn't have as much time, which was really, it was kind of cool because Akela and I wrote the outlines, got approval. Once the outlines were approved by Henry, Akiva, Secret Hideout, CBS, everyone who needs to approve it. Then we sit down and we write. So I'm a mentor right now for the Writers Guild Foundation's Vet Writing Project. And what I tell my mentees is that outlines are like maps. They'll get you to the destination, but the journey, it's a journey, but you need a map. And then one of my fellow mentors, bless his heart, said, who uses maps nowadays? And I'm like, listen, the world ends.
It sounds better than an outline is like in GPS.
Yeah. Exactly. Except don't listen to the GPS because it'll tell you to take a turn and hit a wall. But so I had my outline, but I was given the freedom essentially to write what I wanted as far as, dialogue and connection. So I remember clearly one, I looked at Maleficent. I rewatched that. I rewatched Into the Woods. And I watched the beginning of Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Rings, where she is setting up everything.
Okay.
Just to get me in the mood. Get my head in that true fantasy space. There are other characters at the beginning before we go into fantasy world. So there's Pike and there's Spock. And one of the things we talk about is the fact that in TOS, Spock puts his career on the line for Pike. So to put those moments into the show is so important. What is their relationship like that gets Spock to that point in the future where he's willing to do this for somebody? So I was like, okay, it's not big moments, but it's the small moments that really build relationships. So there's that moment where Pike is staring at the nebula and I'm like, oh, he's going to be enjoying the calm and it's great. And then he and Spock have a moment and Spock's like, jinxing it. Yeah, there's a great moment. And it was a wonderful moment on set, which I'll get to later. But yeah, writing that scene was the moment where it hit me that I was writing for Trek.
Oh, man, that's cool.
Yeah. And I didn't know if it would make it. When you write, sometimes things end up on the floor at any different stage, but that made it. And I remember being on set and just going, oh, this is crazy. I didn't cry because when I was writing that scene, I was also cracking myself up. As you could tell, I do that a lot. So I was just like, oh, this is so funny. While typing. It's like, this is great.
Mom, I'm playing Animal Crossing. Can you please stop laughing in there?
Exactly. She's like, what are you laughing about? Like, oh, this is so fun. But so my writing process during that time was actually a lot of fun. We had already mapped out that, each character was going to play against type. So that was a lot of fun too.
Akela told us that being able to call you and tell you that you were being brought up to write that episode with her was like one of the best moments of her professional career. So what was it like on your end?
It was just a really surreal moment. Making this decision to chase a dream to be a writer and not knowing if it would actually happen or when, even feeling like it's going to happen. I'm like, I'm doing all the things I'm supposed to do, but I don't know when that's going to happen. And planning ahead for that. How long can I sustain this? So on and so forth. It can be really hard, at times soul crushing, but at the same time, you're doing what you love. So when Akela and Henry called me, I had no idea what I was being called for or about. I was like, oh, okay, this should be,
They're going to fire me.
Yeah. That I was never worried about because I always double check in. Am I doing okay? Yeah. I don't want to get fired. I do that. I'm like, hey, I'm going to be fired. So that I wasn't worried about, thankfully. I just remember the world did it slowed down, and it was like that moment getting accepted to. There were certain moments in my life that really hit me hard, and that was one of those where I just cried. I was so grateful to Akela, grateful to everyone that approved me writing that script. It was one of my favorite stories, and the fact that I got to write that episode is still crazy. Akela, she is just really great. Someone throws a pitch in the room, Akela sits back and she spins it she elevates it. That's what I learned. Like, pitching in the room can be a joy when it's given to someone who wants to take it and goes, oh wait, that makes me think of, and is encouraging at the same time. So being able to write with her, I knew was going to be a great moment. So yeah, it's one of the better moments of my life.
I just have to jump in here and say I feel that a theme that I have noticed from you, Onitra, is that you are acutely and keenly aware of the power that narrative has, even in your own life, in the the meta Onitra narrative of the story of you, and I think I really I want to say thank you for keeping story so forefront and for having such a beautiful relationship with narrative, because that definitely comes through in your episode specifically.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Sometimes I'm like, what am I talking about? After whatever, I'm like, did that even make sense? So thank you.
It does.
No, we try to give a lot of space on this podcast. A lot of podcasts can be like, oh, we want to hear this specific thing from this specific person, but we love hearing storytellers tell their stories here. But we do have another question for you from a former guest.
Onitra, you are awesome, and I was very proud to have written this episode with you. I guess I would ask, what piece of advice would she give to someone who was in her position? Because Onitra was our writer's assistant in season 1, and congratulations to her. She made the jump to staff writer in season 2. So whatever tidbits of advice she has, let her roll with that.
Oh, thank you, Akela. I know she's not. Hopefully she'll listen. I'll just text her.
We'll put it on Twitter. Yeah.
Yes. Before I answer the question, Akela really set me up in a beautiful way, because I was able to also go on set and produce my episode. And as a writer's assistant, and both those experiences helped me as a staff writer. For season 2, being on set, it was like being back home. Everyone's like, "Oh, hey, Onitra, it's Onitra." I'm like, I feel like I haven't left. There was like, and when I say it, it's like the crew, like everyone's just great, and I was able to walk in as a staff writer already feeling comfortable because I had gotten that opportunity to write with Akela. So it was just such a huge blessing. What advice would I give to someone who is an assistant? Let's see.
I think I have notes on that, actually.
I think I have notes.
Are you paying
so
attention?
I'm not rambling.
Pay attention, Skylar.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Yep. So the first advice I'd give is to learn the rhythm of the room. I did not pitch unless there was one space for me to pitch, meaning I'm not interrupting. The writers are there, they have a job to do. And honestly, I'm comfortable if I could not pitch in the moment to send an email and say, hey, I had a thought. In hopes of, which I knew, I was very confident that Henry or Akela or someone would read that. And but that also happened to me when I was a PA. I had a pitch, I emailed my showrunner, he read it. It was 2 pages of a pitch because I tend to write.
That's right. Yeah.
That's right. A writer's right. It was a very long pitch, but it was well received. And I think that has helped me out a lot too, is the fact that a lot of people have been very kind. I would give the advice of learning how to read the room.
Yeah. Both
the positive and the negative. Understand when people are frustrated. Understand when people are tired. Understand when people just need coffee. Understand when people are hangry. Literally had that moment as a PA. I was like, y'all are hangry. Listen. I know I look. The last bit of advice that I can think of is always work hard and focus on your job. So, yes, I want to be a writer, but I am not the writer in the room. That does not stop me from being creative. It does not stop me from adding to the story or caring about the story. I remember one of my pitches, or as we were talking and thinking about how Strange New Worlds is going to be different than TOS. I'm like, but Kirk always had those moments where his shirt was ripped. You got to do that. Pike shirt says, It's just a moment to make everyone laugh, but I was really serious. I was like, you got to.
Is that a season 2 spoiler?
Maybe that's my word, ripped shirt. Or as they say on Honest Trailer,
Yeah.
A little bit of tunic violence.
Exactly. For sure. I'm a action person, a fantasy person. So I wanted to find my tribe. And I wanted to do that in my work life as well. And I found that through Strange New Worlds. Henry is really into dragons. Kayla's into so much. I mean, I think she loves Pokemon. I mean, it's not. She's so smart about it.
We know Melissa Navia is also big dragon head.
Oh, yes. I mean, and it goes on to our actors. I am so sorry for what's happening in the background right now.
No, it's fine.
My sister's like, I need ice cream, and you have all the ice cream, and I don't care what you're doing. My sister's like, I don't want to hear your mouth. I already know, so I'm just going to... What were you talking about?
I don't know. Let's talk about Star Trek.
Star Trek or something.
Yes, let's talk about Star Trek. But other assistants, I would say, be open and honest with what you want to do. Connect with the other writers. Connect with the other assistants. Just work hard. Work really hard. The notes every night was just as important to me as getting out that great pitch. Actually, the great pitch wasn't as important as making sure the writers could read my notes. And if Akela asked me, Onitra, what was that thing that we were talking about 2 weeks ago? Because I'm in it, I can remember.
So you went from not being the writer in the room to being the writer in the room on season 2. What was the shift like going from assistant to staff writer? And congratulations.
Thank you. Thanks. I appreciate that. It was a seamless jump. The call itself, so Henry is very much a mentor and very open to you being as involved in the process as you want to be. So I was there watching the music getting put on. Like, I wasn't ever kind of stepped back. So the jump for me, I remember Henry and Akiva called me. I cried when they told me that I was being staffed on season 2. And it was another surreal moment. But at the same time, I just jumped right into it. Kind of like what I did when I wrote the script. It's like, oh, and now I have work to do. I'm doing this. I've been told I'm doing this. Okay, let's get this done. So I feel like there's more I should say, but
there's a lot more to say. But
Okay,
we'll get there.
There's work to do. Let's get it done. That's fantastic. So, what's been your favorite fan reaction to Strange New Worlds?
There's been so many. From Pike's hair, which especially there was that rating that happened, and his wonderful part was rated so low, but I'm like, you guys, it's like
that's the point.
So beautiful.
That was the point. Yeah.
I remember when Anson stepped on, like, he came on set and he had the part, and I was just like, oh my god.
Did he like look at you and point at you and say, you did this?
This
did
was
this
you.
To me?
I used to be cool.
Anson goes, like, he's truly a professional, and he picked that.
He had only himself to blame.
Oh, I love this.
And it was great. It was so great. I was just like, I am truly in the great space.
What about what's been your weirdest, like, what's the weirdest fan reaction you've seen to Strange New Worlds?
I haven't had any weird reaction or interactions or anything, because I don't actually interact that much on social media. I grew up knowing how fan bases can be and have avoided it my whole life.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Engaging only as much as I want to.
Do you feel there's been a shift in that over the years, in how welcoming the fan bases can be?
Yes and no. I mean, people want new stories, but sometimes we want what is familiar.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and sometimes having a new story means letting go of what's familiar and seeing how it could grow.
Yeah.
And sometimes people don't want that. Understandably, because it's something you love, like take Star Wars, you know. And that started way before Disney Plus.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just the development and the retelling and the shifting. And I have seen every Star Wars movie because my mom and I, that's our thing we do.
Excellent.
And I mean, that even happened in the last Indiana Jones movie. I mean, it's just fans feel a sense of ownership to the story because it becomes so meaningful to them. And some people handle it well, some people don't. So social media makes that all better and worse.
Mm-hmm.
So honestly, I can't even tell you if it's gotten better, because there's just people who like to shout to the void. And I'm like, you really got to get out and go play on the grass. And I don't know, you know, you know,
we're podcasters. We're shouting into the void for fun.
Yeah.
So,
This is Onitra's way of saying I got to get out of here. Like, fan space is not good.
Take a book with you and read it at the park. Great experience.
So if you take nothing away from this interview, remember, touch grass.
Yeah, go outside, walk around, get some sun on you. Yeah.
Yes.
Do we need to put a disclaimer before that? Touch grass?
Yeah, we will. We will.
Okay.
So, Legion
sorry.
Kingdom aside, like, it's episode 8 completely aside, what moment of season 1 of Strange New Worlds gave you the most joy?
You mean episode wise, right?
Or whatever, like, and episode, or just was there one moment you saw or experienced or anything that just you're like, I love what I'm doing?
Oh, there's so many of those moments that I'm actually having a hard time. A moment, there are several. one moment that really stands out was when I stepped on set and we had transformed the bridge and transformed everything, and watching the crew just be so excited for what we were doing and being able to really push their creativity because we were doing something so different. And just having people come up to me like, this is my favorite episode, it's so much fun. Oh, you know, just like that excitement. I remember just standing back and watching everyone interact and just enjoying that because other people were enjoying it. And I do remember I asked him, I was like, oh, when I go on set, what is it that you feel like? What's the mandate? Yeah. And he's like, oh, you know, tell everyone to have fun. I'm like, oh, okay, well, I can do that. So even if an actor came to me and was a little bit understandably like, did I hit this? You know, I'm like, but we also, you know, it's just that fun. So those moments made me really love what I was doing. I mean, we're on set for 12 hours. Yeah. It's hard work. There's no need for me to make that harder. And so watching everyone else on set also like just enjoy what they're doing, that was really, I also got very fortunate to work with Amanda Rowe as my first director. And so she and I collaborated very well together. There's just too many moments. I mean, from outside of the writer's room, there's just so many moments.
So before you got the Elysian Kingdom, you were making pitches, I'm assuming, for other episodes. Did any of your other pitches make it into an episode?
Yes, I remember clearly the episode where with Pike and the child with us, where
suffering cannot reach.
Yes, we were trying to figure out, because Pike cannot be inactive in the story as far as trying to save the child. You know? And I remember sitting back and I said out loud, I can't remember exactly what led to me pitching this, but I was like, Pike, she would not bring Pike down to such a sacred space without guards. And so what if the guards are the obstacle? You know, and so I remember that pitch, and that helped move the story along, and also, or at least that section, and that got put in there.
That's one of my favorite moments of that episode. I don't know specific this point, but like when he first goes in there and he starts to step forward with her, and they kind of like block him, and he's like, oh, right, I stay over here. Yeah. Okay. It's just kind of like such a weird little slightly comical moment in this moment of tension, and
then he realizes everything else. Yeah.
And that's just my small pitch, and then them growing it.
Sure.
You know, and that actually was one of my favorite moments, was watching what I'd written on a page or what other writers had written and seeing it flourish. I don't use the word flourish. I don't know. Seeing it come off the page, lift off the page, manifest. Not just by the actor, manifest. Thank you. Not just by the actors. I mean, the director, the everyone on set. I mean, the costumes are beautiful. You know, I think someone said we killed our budget on candles.
Oh man,
yeah, we made a few comments.
He has like a frequent buyer's card at the Vulcan candle store.
That scene is such a fun scene. That was such our Game of Thrones moment. You know what they're gonna do? That was great.
Well, what about this moment in Onitra? I read, and maybe it's wrong, but Memory Alpha says that you, or at least a crewman named O. Johnson, helped build the Enterprise, that your name is on the little plaque on the bridge. How did that happen, and how's that feel?
That felt great. I haven't a clue how that happened. Bill was the one, we were on set together, and we were geeking out about being on the bridge and taking turns on the chair. Just nerding out. And then Bill looks and reads it's like, oh, Nitro, come here. And I saw it, that was another surreal moment where I took pictures. I sent it to, I just sent it to my mom.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
I think I'm going back a little bit because I kind of missed this. The Dionysian Nebula.
Yes.
Yeah.
That had several wonderful moments for me. The first being when Henry and I were typing. He's like, "Oh, what should we call this nebula?" And I hadn't realized at that time you could name stuff. So I was doing research on there. Oh, who should this name be? Who should, So Henry's, oh, let's call it the Dionysian Nebula. I was like, what? And I remember telling my daughter, she's like, I'm famous. I'm like, what? Oh. And then that got approved as a name we could use. And then I was on set, and Bill, once again, I love Bill. He points out to me, "Oh, nature, look!" And on the screen where M'Benga and Hemmer are talking about the nebula, you see the name of the nebula, and it's just Dionysian Nebula, and I just remember tearing up.
Aw, that's so cool!
Such an amazing moment. And then when they created the poster online for that was another moment.
Yeah. Most of my questions, as well as the bulk of our fan questions, are specifically about your experience writing the Elysian Kingdom. So I feel like the Elysian Kingdom manages to pull off a lot in just under an hour. And from our perspective, it succeeds everywhere all the time. But we know that good TV doesn't happen by magic, right? So what was the most difficult part of this episode or of this story to break from the writing perspective?
Or was it all just easy?
I wouldn't use the word easy. Because what was difficult for myself personally was this is my first written script for TV, and there was a lot writing on it. One, I wanted it to be great for everyone involved, not just for my bosses, but the actors. I really wanted to give Akela as much as she'd given me. So it's really important that I held my weight. And also my job at that time to me was to make her job easier. So I wanted to give her a script that she didn't have to play with too much. So that was what was difficult for me, was bringing my A game at every level. Because then it's not just Akela reading it, it's Henry, it's Akiva, it's all the wonderful producers at Secret Hideout and CBS who have been wonderful in the note-taking process for me. So that was what was difficult. The story itself was just fun.
Right.
I mean, that moment when M'Benga walks into the medical bay and Shackle's like...
So, okay. I have to ask, I'm also the huge over-specific Trekkie nerd on our show. So, was Chapel actually temporarily imbued with the powers of a medium? Because M'Benga definitely has a great pain weighing down his spirit, as she says, but she shouldn't know that. So is that meant to be she has some powers now? Or is it just meant to indicate this is just on M'Benga's face and he just doesn't know it?
She doesn't have powers because we didn't want to actually have people be magical in our sci-fi show. But she is very empathetic, and one can argue that a really good wizard and witch has the ability to pick up stuff that has nothing to do with magic, but everything to do with feelings.
Yeah, that's actually really interesting because Dan Janot from The Good Witch just told us that that's how The Good Witch does all of her magic. So it's crazy that that's happens to be consistent across properties. I can't believe that.
Did you guys just interview Dan?
We did. Like
oh, okay. That's hilarious.
Okay, well, then I need to step in since we're talking about Dan. We've asked Dan, we've asked Akela. You're going to be the last person we pose this question to, Onitra, because the world wants to know. They need to know, and we have our own theories here. Who was Sam in the Elysian Kingdom? Sam Kirk, what was he turned into? We never saw him.
Sam, yeah.
There's the camp that thinks he's the jester.
Yeah.
I'm personally thinking he's Runa the dog. Because Kayla suggests there might be other.
But you're the only person that can answer definitively, Onitra, so
true.
Please.
I would love to believe that he's the jester that they call for.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But for some reason, like, my head he's like stuck downstairs cooking. Or, he's stuck in the kitchen.
Yeah.
Cooking,
Peeling potatoes.
Peeling potatoes. That is not a very great answer. But this might be because I literally just was watching Adventure Time, and there's a scene where they go into the kitchen and he's like, "Oh, blueberries!" And also, I'm always thinking about food, so that could be another problem.
Well, maybe he was in the kitchen cooking, and the nebula just didn't change him. It's just like, here, you're cooking now. It's like, okay,
hey.
All right, that sounds good. Yeah.
There you go.
Now I like a new option for this.
Yeah.
It's good. It's good.
Yeah, I think it's better that we never put this to rest. I think.
Yeah.
Yes. No, please don't.
Speaking of having options in how our narratives play out, I think our next question is from our friend Abby. Producer John, if you wouldn't mind queuing that up.
Yep.
Hey, Open Pike and Onitra. This is Abby Summer from the First Flight podcast. So excited to talk to one of the people that helped make my very favorite episode of season 1 of Strange New Worlds come to life. And I have to say that every single time I watch it, it gets better. And every single time I watch it, I feel like I'm almost picking up on more influences. The last few times I've watched, I've realized that it feels a lot to me, someone who grew up in the 80s and 90s, like it has an element of a choose-your-own-adventure book in it, where there are obvious choices and you have to make one, and the rest of the story unfolds based on what you did. And the story within the story seemed to do that in this episode. I was wondering if you could talk about if that was intentional or just me reading more into it, and any of the other influences that you might have slid in there. Thanks for a brilliant episode, and Open Pike, thanks for being awesome as always.
Awesome. Thank you, Abby. And I'm glad that you love this episode. I think that's been the best part, is so many people have loved this episode, and it's meant so much to them. So I grew up reading Choose Your Own Adventures. Often I'd reread the book and choose another adventure. I love it. But it wasn't intentional, because I also play a lot of RPG, the role-playing games. So in Skyrim in its own way is Choose Your Own Adventure. I would say Zelda is also, the open world games are, World of Warcraft is a great Choose Your Own Adventure. I had a raptor named Kate. Just run around. I know, this is me.
I was a dark elf hunter.
Cookies and mouth. Oh my goodness, yes. And you could dance. It was just a thing. But and that was very much like a choose your own adventure game. And so I can honestly say that those games influenced this episode for me a lot. Because I like the freedom that playing those games give you. I mean, Final Fantasy is great too, but it's a little less choose your own adventure. You're kind of following a storyline throughout. While in, like, say, Skyrim, you choose what storyline you want to build, but your character still is the dragon,
So the first part of this story that we hear Mbenga telling Rukia, we sort of assume that she's maybe roughly equivalent to the princess that he's trying to save, right? But we learn that, as Cameron mentioned, is a red herring. She is, in fact, his Mercury Stone, and that is his most powerful weapon. What do you feel is a power that can be drawn from children?
Make it sound like she's a witch, Jesse.
I mean,
the children are no longer. Sorry,
I know.
Cameron just watched the new Hocus Pocus. It's not your. Yeah.
I was just about to say that. We just watched. I didn't watch it because I was napping, but my family just watched the old Hocus Pocus, and I used to watch that. all the
Mhm.
time. Oh my goodness.
Maybe what's a
That for
strength that could be drawn from children? Is that better, Cameron?
Both are great. I mean, and I paused because it's just so much. I recently, I volunteer at my daughter's school. We're reading Aragon, and I lead the discussion of the book. And the kids in our class are interested because the writer was 14 when he wrote it. And, I told him, like, you guys can be writers too. He had access that you might not have, but that doesn't mean you can't do this. And children, what I've always enjoyed about children, even when I was a child, is that because I was the older person who would sit at the table, and I went to a kind of non-traditional school. And the grade school kids, I was in 10th grade, and the elementary students would come over and I'd just make up stories just for fun. And I still do that with my daughter. But children don't have the same weight of the complete weight of the world, so they can still imagine things in a way that we might question. They also, unless taught not to, say what they think. Just say the thing, which is really fun.
I mean, you kind of spoke to it earlier too, really, with your relationship with your daughter, and yeah.
Well, I've seen what a broken child can look like, and a broken spirit can look like, and how that grows into adulthood. And I don't want that for my daughter, or even any of her friends. I mean, I remember that we were supposed to write cards for the kids in school, the parents were, and my daughter comes home and says, "Oh, so-and-so is sad because she didn't get a lot of cards." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." And I just went and wrote some cards and passed them out to her. I'm like, whatever, everyone gets a card. Oh, whatever, you're all gonna do good on this test. But also, like, children are really strong. We don't give them a lot of credit sometimes for that. Especially during this pandemic. And they can make good decisions. I said to my daughter, "Hey, you want to go back to school or you want to stay home?" She said, "I'm going back to school."
That is good. And
thank you.
Maybe, I was going to say.
You chose wisely.
You chose wisely. Thank you.
So
let's hear from Maria now.
Yep. Mariah?
Yeah.
Mariah. Yep.
Hi, Open Pike Night. This is Mariah calling from Seattle. Thanks so much, Onitra, for coming on the show and answering some questions from all of us. I love many things about the Elysian Kingdom, and one of them is that it feels like we are watching Rukia's fan fiction of the fairy tale that her dad has been reading to her. And as a fanfic writer myself, I feel very seen by this. From a theoretical standpoint, fan fiction is an opportunity for marginalized communities, in particular queer communities, to write ourselves into narratives that we don't see ourselves represented in. And I feel like this is really important. And we kind of saw that happen with Rukia deciding that Zymira the Huntress and Sir Adia were going to have this relationship. And so my question about this is really about how you decided what was the original fairy tale going to be and what Rukia was going to change, and where that came from, and what the sort of theoretical underpinnings of how you wanted her to envision the story differently than it was told, and where that came from. And if you have any thoughts about fan fiction writing, obviously I would love to hear that as well. Okay, thank you.
That's a great question. Growing up being someone who loves fantasy, comics not as much because X-Men had Storm, but a lot of fantasy novels when I was growing up did not have good representation. So I often had to daydream myself into these stories. Same thing happened with the movies that we're watching. And even some of the comics, I mean, there wasn't me. I did not see myself in these stories that I loved. And I think that was also part of the reason why I didn't believe I could actually do this, but it was also a huge factor in why I chose to do this. So it's actually, that's not separate. It is actually part of the answer is being able to dream yourself into a story, write yourself into a story is very important. I think being able to see a representation of yourself in fantasy, in horror, in action is very important. Sci-fi, all of it. You know, when I watch a science fiction movie where it's a dystopian world and I don't see full representation, my mind, it's why I love Octavia Butler. You know, my mind kind of glitches, like, why do y'all think? Okay. That's, you know, and that's always been with me growing up. So it's probably why I watch stuff like Coming to America. You know, it's why I have love for things that aren't always fantasy. So to go back to what we thought we would change, I remember, I honestly am fuzzy on the details there. I do remember when I was, because I did remember Kayla mentioned that I wrote the book, or these pieces of it, of the Elysian Kingdom, and then we gave the author a different title. But I do remember saying that originally Zymira is friends to the king, and she has a different, she and the Huntress and Sir Adia never meet because they're on different tracks in the story. But Rukia likes these characters, and she can't understand why these two strong women don't meet. And not only that, why wouldn't they fall in love when they meet? Yeah. You know, it's just, you know, and so she's made this story in her head gravitating. For me, I gravitated to Storm. I also gravitated to Rogue. I gravitated to the Jean Grey that would tell Charles Xavier off. You know, the Storm that would beat up Cyclops and eventually take over the X-Men. Yeah. You know, and so it was the women characters in many of these stories that were strong and changed the outcome that I always like gravitated towards. Even in Lord of the Rings, I can't remember the character's name, unfortunately, because it's been a minute. But when she stabs the guy, she's like, "I'm not a man, I'm a woman." And yes. It's just like those moments, you know. It would be important to Rukia too, as a young girl.
So we learned from Akela that you were the one who got to write the actual text of the Elysian Kingdom, which I thought was super cool because when you freeze frame it, you see that you even are kind of like foreshadowing plot points when we see the little flashes to it. So what was the process of that, and will we get to see a published version someday, maybe?
That was another one of those moments where I have never done this before, and I was given the mandate. Hey, write some of the book. What? And this is all just out of, oh, you're right. Okay. I'm doing this alone. which is fine. But then the nerves start up where I'm like, oh, this has to be good. This is, you know, all the things I said before. And me being me, I'm like, this has to be a story that has plot points.
They told you it doesn't need plot points, and you're like, yeah, it does.
It's like Laura Mipsum is fine. No, it's not. Yeah. No.
There's going to be some podcasters who freeze frame these shots. It's got to make sense.
Exactly. I'm like, there's a moment where they're in the woods and he's running and he runs into the soldiers, and, you know, I don't remember completely all the details because I literally just sat down and started writing, as one does, and just thinking about, because I wasn't writing a story from the beginning, I was writing it in the middle, which was really difficult, because that's what Mabenga's reading to Rukia. He's not starting from the beginning, he's actually closer to the end. And I wanted to write I needed to get certain characters in the story because when we're turning the page, we're seeing certain characters. So I remember trying to introduce all these characters. The queen and why she wants the Mercury Stone and what the Mercury Stone means to everybody, and making that all up as I go along. And then also some things changed in script. So when it changed in script, I had to go back and change it in the book.
Don't you guys know I specifically plotted this out for this to happen? I can't just change the book. Nitro, we told you not to make a plot.
I know.
Also, just type it. You don't have to do the calligraphy every time.
I know. And you don't have to do this. Yeah, I know. It's this. And it was great. It was really funny because then Henry would come to me and ask me, plot points from this fantasy book that would go into our script. And that was really great. Akela was just like, have fun, I trust that you're going to have fun with that. So I did. And then I actually, when I was writing it, didn't realize that was something that was going to go on screen until later on in the process. And then so I got even more nervous, like, oh crap. Is that something we might see in the future? And I have no idea whatsoever. The future is up for grabs.
We'll start a hashtag.
The undiscovered country.
Yeah. We can start a hashtag.
We can hashtag finish the book, Onitra. I'm like, oh no, feel like, oh no, maybe not. Say that.
So in the process of translating the Enterprise to a fantasy realm, whose idea was it to put the jail on the transporter pad? Because that is the sweetest irony.
That, I think that was a moment. It was a production moment for sure. We were like, we were gonna have it in a different location that would not fit cameras, and the actors wouldn't be able to fill the space, and it just there was a lot of things that were not a lot. There were a couple of things that were written in the script, and when we got on set, it was like, wait,
this isn't doable.
we got to rethink this. Let me rewrite. But during pre-production, I had a discussion with me, Henry, and Amanda, and props and some and art department. We were all discussing how to make this work, and I honestly cannot remember completely whose idea that was. So I'm going to say it was everybody's idea.
Thanks, everyone.
That's a great idea. Yeah.
Diplomatic. Well done.
Yes. Because then they had to run and go build the bars.
Right.
And like it was a thing, So I'm going to give credit to everyone that day, except me.
Very cool. Well, and we're always our own harshest critics. So speaking of the production of the Elysian Kingdom, we have another call here from our friend Peter.
Hi, it's Peter again. Thank you, Ms. Johnson, for joining Open Pike Night today, as well as for writing The Elysian Kingdom, one of my favorite episodes from Strange New Worlds. I have a couple of quick questions about your experience on Season 1. Were you able to observe the production of The Elysian Kingdom? If so, what was your favorite memory seeing what you helped write come to life? Also, I asked the following question to Akela Cooper recently and wanted to get your perspective as well. If you could play one of the fantasy characters from the Elysian Kingdom, which one would it be? Congratulations on becoming a staff writer on the show. I look forward to seeing more of your stories in Season 2. And thanks, Open Pike Night, for having this series of podcasts with the acting and creative teams of Strange New Worlds.
Yes, I was able to observe all of production from beginning to end. So that was an amazing experience. The only thing I did not get opportunity to do, which was beyond this, I wasn't able to go watch the music, the classical music, actually be put on, because I wasn't in LA at the time that they were doing that. But I got to listen and give notes. from top to bottom, I was part of this process, which made it even more meaningful.
Mm-hmm. So you wrote the script and then you get to go to set and see it brought to life, and then you see it all put together on TV at some point. Like, what were the different feelings for those different phases?
There was a lot of, just so many things, like joy, apprehension, because I'm kind of like, oh, are the actors going to like this? And then watching them read it is just so much fun. Because everyone's playing against type.
Yeah.
And doing it on a season 1 episode or, season 1 show where, they're still figuring out their characters. And all of a sudden it's like, oh, hey, Pike is now a cowardly. I mean, of course, Anson's great. Or, even, oh goodness, it's just so many. You know what? Oh, that's a great moment. There was a moment with Queen Nev when I was watching Celia, who's just so amazing. Like she's just great on every level. And she decided to just own that throne. Mm-hmm. And watching her do that and watching her just like get into character was so amazing when she's with her soldiers and she's intimidating and powerful and just that scene was great. There was a moment where Anson is when he gets arrested and he's pulled in front of Queen Nev and he's just like, kick me. And the actress was like, wait, what? It was just so great watching them collaborate. And another great moment from that scene was I really felt, because Anson is such great comedic timing, and there was a lot of laughter. I swear everyone was cracking up. This was so there's a scene where I was just like, I feel like we should capture him being pulled in from the shadows. Like he's protesting. We got that scene and it made it. And I just, there was that scene. There's this scene where Mbenga yells, come on, man.
Yeah. That's one of my favorite moments from that episode. It's like, dude, come on.
Yes, that was truly, truly Babs. Like, just, I was like, I champion. I was just like, we got it. That has to. I love that moment. When Princess Talia just such a great moment. Oh my gosh, it was just there's just so many great moments there. The moment with her and Princess Runa.
That dog can act. Like,
oh my gosh.
That was like 90s
Runa.
animal movie level acting. I was deeply impressed with that dog. Like, no joke.
Runa is my favorite. Like, I just hug her when I can. And she was great. She was great. She had her own little costume.
I know.
And she was like the best little actress. She was so great. Yeah, I mean, there's just so many moments. It's just so many moments that were great. Watching Melissa do her own stunts, like, and that choreographed scene was not as big in script. It became big because our stunts department's amazing and creative. And I did martial arts, not as much as Babs, but I did martial arts growing up, and so it's really fun to watch. Like Babs is the expert. Like,
oh yeah, wow, we hadn't heard this before.
Oh yeah, Babs. Oh yeah, he's gosh, I can't remember because he's in Dune. I don't know if
Okay.
So
I want to say Krav Maga, but I'm not 100% on that.
I think it's Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Oh, okay.
I think it's Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. But yeah, he he's great.
So which of those great characters would you choose to be to bring it back to Peter's question? Or create your own. It's your story.
I kind of really love Hemmer's character, even though he's not in character. He chooses to play along.
I love it. He's that guy who you drag to the D&D group and is like, I'm not going to like this. Oh, wait, this is really fun.
Oh, wait, yes. Bruce was so great on the set. It was so funny. He has this scene that didn't make it the way that it was, the way he said it, where he's just getting dragged into the elevator and he screams out, "Oh, you don't have to squeeze so tight." And I just about died laughing. I was just like, oh no. It was just wonderful. So yeah, Hemmer's character, because he isn't as straight man, as they call it, as Bab's character, or excuse me, Mabenga's character, and showing that other side. This is great. He is like that D&D.
That actually leads really well into another question that we got from our good friend Isaac. If you don't mind queuing that one up, Producer John.
Hey guys, it's Isaac from Unplanned Trek. Thanks for having me back on the show. Thanks for inviting me up to the mic, and really excited to be talking about the Elysian Kingdom, which I can't quite pronounce, but I hope it's enough to get on the show. Anyway, what I'd like to ask is, when writing a show like this one, which character are you most excited to see not be in their stereotyped or, I guess, already entrenched character? So which one are you looking forward to breaking the most? And will we see something like this appear again in season 2 or 3, perhaps? Thanks for having me on the show, guys. Catch ya.
Honestly, I was excited for everybody, but there's nothing that beats the actors taking it and making it their own. I mean, Christina, so she just sleeps in, and Sally. I mean, just the back and forth between Sir Roth and Sir Adia.
I mean, I could watch a whole show just about those characters.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I wish there was a blooper reel. The amount of looks. There's just so many moments. I love every character and writing them. I wasn't really thinking, oh, this is Pike, so I just wrote these characters as if they truly existed. Even that moment where King Ridley stands up to Queen Nev and he's defending his daughter, is like that moment where he is really in this fantasy world. At that moment, he will do whatever he needs to defend his daughter, even if that means becoming King Ridley. So yeah, all of the characters, watching everyone play against type was just, it was great.
It's hard to choose a favorite.
It's hard to choose a favorite.
We tend to ask that just to see, but almost everybody says it's impossible to choose.
Bill got mad at us. It was great.
Yeah. Akela had an answer though. She was like, "Oh, it's this line. This is the best one."
I unfortunately don't, because I'm being on set. Oh my! When everyone put on their costumes, it was a whole nother story. Like that was
just
magic.
Watching the kids play, basically.
That was great. I mean, we made poor Ethan. I guess that was kind of on me. Try on so many different wigs. And then I was like, I gotta record this and send to Henry. It's a pet peeve. It's gotta look right. And I'm like, pretend you're a L'Oreal coach.
Oh man, Ethan Peck with long hair did something to me. I don't know how or why, but my sexuality was questioned momentarily.
It was such a great wig. I'm so glad that we did that. It just made it. You look more wizardly.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Definitely.
And we had green wigs. I mean, we had different wigs.
I want to see those now. Oh, there's so much I want to see on this DVD. Blooper reel, Spock's wigs,
a whole extra
Ethan's
disc
wigs.
of just Elysian Kingdom behind the scenes. Yeah.
What about deleted scenes? Are there any scenes that didn't make it?
Oh, there's lots of scenes.
Any favorites?
I mean, we were. Oh, goodness. Because there was a lot of Sir Roth. that I was like, no, silent tears. This was too funny. Like, there's this whole sequence where they climb up the Jeffries tube. He's like scared and spiders, and like there's this whole sequence there.
Melissa told us about that sequence.
I have to see that. I really hope it's on the special features.
That sequence is hilarious because the Jeffries tube is a lot smaller than imagined, and so like everyone's in costume. Poor Ethan has this huge staff. He's not a tiny person. Everyone has to climb up these stairs with the and then say their lines.
Oh, as they're climbing by the camera, basically. Oh, okay.
Yeah, just in a matter of, you know, we have a time limit, and there's not enough room for all this dialogue. And I remember Amanda came to me to kind of solve that problem, which meant I had to play in the script. And as a writer's assistant, I'm like, uh-oh. It's 3 a.m. in the morning, and Henry is asleep.
Well,
oh man!
Apparently, Anson knew the answer because apparently he was just telling the other actors, like, "Guys, they're going to cut this. It's a 50-minute episode. They don't have time for this."
That helped too. I mean, don't get me wrong. We tried to shoot everything, so even still, it's like you never actually know 100% what's going to make the cutting room floor, and so that's also a part of trusting the director and the editors who are amazing as well. And some things that you might think are going to hit the floor actually elevates the scene. It's that missing piece that we needed. Even Babs yelling, "Come on, man!" I mean, like that could have been cut, but it was not. You know, you just never know. But Anson did like calm, like he sets a tone and a pace that says, you know, don't freak out. We're going to get this done. So
that's
yeah.
great.
So speaking of trusting everybody to do their piece, which is, you know, you are not the first, you are simply the most recent to bring that up. It seems to just have been the atmosphere on set was ultimate collaboration and positivity. Was the Boltzmann brain something that came from the room, or was that something where the room reached out to Dr. McDonald and said, "Hey, we need space consciousness"?
That came from the room. That came early in the season. All the writers were pitching ideas of cool stories that we can, you know, science things that we can do. And I believe that was Robin's. I could be wrong, but I believe the Boltzmann was one of her pitches. And it came up months later and was used in our episode. Like it was just kind of just throwing stuff at the wall. And then once we decided that would be in the episode, then we had to go to Dr. Aaron, who's also wonderful and just so smart. Hopefully you guys, you know, have her on the show. Oh, awesome. Yeah, she's great. But yeah, that came from the writers.
Okay.
Very cool.
Yeah. Let's see. I think we've got 2 more submissions. Let's do Danielle's next.
Hello, Open Pike. It is Sayadina calling in to chat a bit with you all. I'm thankful for this opportunity to speak with Miss Johnson and to perhaps delve more deeply into the episode she wrote. The Elysian Kingdom was one of my favorites of this season. It had everything: laughs, gorgeous costumes, amazing characterizations, and a profound message. Seeing as this episode was about the power of stories and creating your own stories, it made me think of the power of storytelling itself, of the power of myth, as it were. There is a term, mythopoesis, which means myth-making, and is also a specific narrative genre, J.R.R. Tolkien's Lord of the Rings being the prime example. However, I believe it can be applied to all genres, as it primarily has to do with the foundation of story itself, out of which ever-varying meanings will grow for different recipients in different ages. Story is transcended and becomes a transformative experience for the reader. Story can baptize our imagination, transfigure it. I believe this is most beautifully exemplified in the story of Mabenga and his daughter. They were both transformed through their encounter with the story, and so I'm wondering, did you have a similar experience while writing this episode? Thank you. I really appreciate you taking this time to spend with all of us fans. I'm very much looking forward to the next season of Strange New Worlds, and I hope you get to tell more such beautiful stories. Thank you.
Thank you. That was a great question too. I mean,
We've got good listeners.
Yes, yeah. They're all enjoying all of these and answering them. So I had a transformative experience even before writing this episode. My whole journey to even get to that point where I could be writing for Trek, or for any show, honestly. I am a believer in foundations of stories and also the stories that we choose to believe, not just in fiction, but about ourselves and about our world around us. And being able, which is not easy, to take yourself out of a narrative that you've been walking for many years, for whatever reasons, access, money, race, gender, whatever it is, and to shift that story is very difficult. I chose to believe, despite everything, that I could become a TV writer. That belief, it's always been a part of me. I just chose to act upon that belief. I chose to use the resources that I had, which was being in the military, so I had access to the GI Bill, and my willingness to ask questions of the people around me, to create other opportunities. That transformed my life, and in so doing transformed my daughter's life, which is basically, I believe, what Mabenga was doing. He's on the Enterprise, not just to be the doctor, but to find a cure for his daughter. He's hoping that his job gives him access to a cure that he otherwise would not have.
Wow.
He also takes the other dangerous step of putting her in a buffer, which is not exactly legal, in order to preserve her life. So he risks his career and his freedom in order to cure and save his daughter. I risked much, not only to follow my dream as a writer, but to give my daughter more access and more opportunities, both as a woman in a world that can often tell you that you cannot do certain things. Play in the sandbox where mainly men are, especially fantasy. Be a young Black woman and play in that sandbox. Come from very little resources and make your own resources. I did that, and I think that story is universal to a lot of people for a lot of different reasons. And I think that's what makes really good stories, one, hard to write, but also very important. It's trying to find those things that are, not everyone's a mom, but everyone has been someone's child, right? Or I shouldn't say everyone, because I understand that, not everyone has that, but they do have someone, hopefully, in their lives that they will eventually care about. A lot of us have careers. We have to. Some of us enjoy it, like Una, and some of us do it because it's going to get us closer to what we need, like Mabenga. I'm sure he'd rather, I don't know. I mean, I'd rather sometimes be spending more time with my child, but it doesn't mean I don't love what I do. So yeah, the transformative experience in writing this episode, I didn't really have a transformative experience in writing the episode. My life itself has kind of been transformed by a need to always take care of those around me, I guess, while trying to live a life that I can enjoy, and in many ways bring joy to other people. You know, growing up, watching everything that I've watched and reading everything that I've read both made me cry and also brought me a lot of joy. You know?
Well, I think you can probably rest easy in knowing that you have created at least one nebula worth of possibilities for your daughter. And I personally can't wait to hear the stories that she tells when she is, you know, stepping into your shoes, because it sounds like you know well the power of narrative, as we have discussed here. I think it was Abby who said every time she watches The Elysian Kingdom, she sees something else. And I can't wait to watch it again with your story in mind and seeing how that informed the episode. Yeah. We all watched it.
It's just these connections you're making. I'm like, oh, yeah, that is right. That is what Mbing is doing.
We all watched it last night, and I'm going to watch it again today.
Yeah.
Like,
awesome.
Now knowing this. Yeah, it's huge. So I think we have one more caller, if I'm not mistaken, get to. If you'd like to.
I cannot wait for the question.
This is like good. This is the big one.
Yeah.
Hello again, Open Pike Night. This is Michael Kwan, at QuanT on Twitter. Today I was listening to the interview with Akela Cooper, and each time Onitra Johnson's name was mentioned in glowing terms, it made me smile. Then right after I finished the episode, I got the email saying she would be your next interview subject. As much as I want to ask our friend about naming a whole nebula after her daughter in the Elysian Kingdom, and where can I get a copy of her text for Benny Russell's book, I'm going to pose a whole different question. Onitra knows me from roller derby as Mike Some Noise, the head of officiating for Los Angeles' Angel City Derby, and I know her as roller derby referee Nitro Explosion. My question is, if they were in women's derby, what would La'an's, Uhura's, and Christine Chappell's derby names be? Miss you, Nitro. You're making Angel City Derby proud.
I really feel we buried the lead here. That is like this whole podcast could have been about this.
That was one of the coolest questions we've ever gotten, Michael. What?
I miss you too, Michael.
Some noise.
He warned me. He's like, I've got questions. I was like, oh. He didn't tell me it was going to be about Derby, though.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah.
I also need to know, because Bill was the mascot. Is
the flying lobster.
That a coincidence, or?
No. That was just... I met Bill, and he's like, oh, I think I was telling him I actually played roller derby as well as refereed. And he told me he's mascot, and he was there and left before I joined.
Okay.
So, yeah.
All right. So step 1, join this roller derby league. Step 2, start writing for Star Trek. Got it. Okay.
Step
really
3,
easy.
A Star Trek rollerball style episode in season 2.
Oh.
Remember how I told you guys that you got to get out? I just was like, I got to get out. I remember I was doing a little bit of martial arts at the time, but I needed something that got me around other people. And I really, really felt strongly I wanted to be around a lot of women, a lot of strong women. And I remember my mom was like, oh yeah, roller derby used to be a thing. We watched it on TV. And I was like, I don't know. I just Googled it for some inane reason. I don't remember why. But then I said, oh, wait, hey, they said people can just put on skates. So I know how to skate. I grew up skating in the rinks and spending the night there, skating backwards. So I just showed up, tried out. I wasn't sure at the time if I wanted to do flat or banked, but I chose bank track. And it was great. I injured myself. That wasn't so great. And so then I became a ref, which was also great. So yeah, the roller derby was a wonderful outlet for me in a time where I really needed that. And I enjoyed it as well.
So give
all right,
La'an, Uhura, and Chapel roller derby names.
Can we add Ortegas in there?
I mean,
too?
we really should. We're the
question?
official podcast of Mortegas. So
yeah.
Mortegas, maybe that would be your roller derby name. Mortegas.
Yeah, because more like death.
That would be a good
I like
one.
it.
More,
Yeah.
yes.
Oh.
Yep. And we also need more of her.
We all
for
do.
sure. Like, Ortegas is such a great character.
Well, one of us on the screen is a writer for Star Trek Strange New Worlds, so...
yeah.
I know. It's like, whose job is that to pitch that in the room? She needs to speak up more. That's great. I'm bad with naming stuff.
All right, let's group effort.
Group effort. Okay.
Yep. Yes, group effort, please.
Okay, so the first thing that comes into my head would be La'an, Noonien, Boom, but I don't know if you are supposed to have an onomatopoeia in your name. I don't know how roller derby naming works.
It's a circle, so La'an, Noonien, Ring. I don't know.
Okay. I want to go something with hypo spray for Chapel, like hyper spray,
like hypo smash.
Mm-hmm.
We're not good at this, Onitra.
We're not good.
Listen, I don't even remember how I came up with Nitro version. I was just like, because of my nicknames. So sometimes my friends would call me Nitro. Everyone likes to make plays on my name, so I have about a ton of nicknames. But Nitro was one of them. I was like, well, Nitro explodes, so...
Okay, how about
a hurricane be helling frequencies?
Oh, there we go.
There we go.
Helling.
But Noonien, Boom. There we go.
Yes.
That took me a second. But we do need...
I've been to one roller derby game.
Yep.
And we'll just call Mortegas Mortegas so that people really get that we're emphasizing the killer part of that. Yeah.
Sorry, Michael. Feel free to come on to Twitter and tell us your names.
Yes.
It kind of feels like
I'm sure Michael.
It seems like he maybe has some in mind.
Yeah.
Next time, feel free to include those, Michael.
Yes.
Dude, Mike Some Noise is a great name too. Yeah. I just gotta say, I love a good pun. You may have noticed we have one in our name, so this is the correct audience for that. Yeah. So.
Also, Michael, work with us on a Open Pike Night roller derby character themed T-shirt line. I mean, come on.
I like this.
Michael will be very involved, and that would be great. And I'm like, yes, that's so awesome.
All right. Well, Onitra, thank you so much for coming on and spending time with us.
How about a one-word tease for season 2?
Something that will make no sense to us right now, and we won't be able to guess a plot point from, but when we see it on screen, we'll go, ooh!
Charades.
Ooh.
I'm
already
going
too. I'm adding it to
the
list. Onitra, thank you so much. This is we are continue to be elated. Everybody from the show that has spent some of their time with us generously has been nothing but sweet and amazing and very kind, and you have continued that trend, so thank you so much for spending some of your time with us.
Oh yeah, it was great. It was great.
Well, I'm leaving this interview inspired both as a writer and a parent, so thank you for your story. It's been great.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us for your first podcast experience. It's an honor, and hopefully you get a chance as the seasons go on to come back and visit us again and again. So we will love to have you back.
Well, thank you. I hope you guys have a really good rest of your Sunday, and I look forward to hearing everyone else's podcast. So
please tell your daughter thank you for sharing you with us.
Oh,
absolutely.
I will tell her. She, that's another story. Okay. Bye.
We've been speaking tonight with Onitra Johnson, staff writer for Strange New Worlds and absolute creative gem. Onitra, thank you for joining us on the Open Pike Night Stage. As always, we want to keep every episode of Open Pike Night free to all. And to make that possible, please head over to patreon.com/openpike. Our supporters there have already had a chance to hear a little bit about this episode and get a sneak peek at what's to come, as well as get a video greeting from the recording. One of the many benefits you too can have when you become a patron for as little as $2 a month. Jesse, how else can our listeners help?
Of course, we appreciate all of our supporters and listeners, and if you are not in a position to support us financially, then just like Mr. Spock, your ears are plenty for us. But if you would like to help us make the show, you can now just go to openpike.com. How easy is that? You go to openpike.com, there's going to be a little tab that says record a voice message. You can go there on your phone, you can go there on your tablet, you can go there on your computer, Wherever you are, click on that tab. It's going to ask for access to your microphone, and then you will be leaving your 90-second or fewer voicemail for Open Pike Night, and we will be putting you on stage as soon as possible. How cool is it to have openpike.com, you guys? And of course, while you're at openpike.com, you can find quick links to everything that we do. That's merchandise, that's Patreon, that's our Twitter at Open Pike. You can join our newsletter, the Open Pike Night Crew Manifest, to get immediate updates when we're going to have new guests and when fun new things are coming down the pike. Do you see what I did there? So really, I'm just saying, go to openpike.com because everything that you need is there. That's the newsletter, that's the episodes, that's our Twitter, everything is there. Go to openpike.com.
And Cam, where can folks find you online?
You can probably find me responding to many of Jesse's outrageous tweets on our Twitter, but that would be GreenShirt87 on Twitter is the account for my other podcast, Green Shirt, A Newbie's Trek Through the Next Generation, where I am the titular Green Shirt, watching TNG for the first time. Only 2 more seasons left. Season 6 and 7 coming up. It's exciting. So exciting.
And Jesse, where can folks find more of you?
If for whatever reason you need more of me in your ears, just stay in this podcast app and search for Sudden But Inevitable. That's the show where I turn longtime friends into brand new fans of the shows I feel they probably should have seen by now. Of course, we started with Firefly and my neophyte friend Josh, who had never seen it. And since then, we've just been on a whirlwind of genre-bending action and discovery. And I invite you to join us at Sudden But Inevitable.
And I can be found on Twitter at John T. Bolts. It's been a long night, and the Open Pike Night crew has to finally clear out all these decorative vines once and for all. We've been thinking of adding some extra stories to the OPN theater, and, well, we know where to find good stories. Just ask Nitro Explosion. Don't forget to tip your servers. You can go anywhere you want, but you can't stay here.